There's been a bit of drama, and we're here to talk about it. That's right. It's Robert Pattinson, me. Just kidding. It's Brandon from Screen Love Affair, and I'm here with my good friend Shay, finally back at it, here to discuss one of A24's highest box office movies. That's the drama again, with over $100 million at this point, 2 to 3 weeks out of being in theaters. This movie's cleaning up, and it definitely deserves it. And I'm finally stoked to talk full spoilers and get into the drama of the drama.
Yeah, well, hey, it's good to be back. It's been a little while since anyone. I've even had people messaging me like, "Hey, haven't seen you on the social clips or the episode." I'm like, Brandon's been carrying the load. I've been sick for like 3 weeks,
Did you quit the
and we're just
podcast? The
getting
fact I
back.
have the bad haircuts on all the social posts.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
where's get this mullet guy out of here, dude? What's going on?
yeah.
No, you did great. I loved your review videos, and I hope people are really liking those because I guess by the time this comes out, like keep your eyes open because there should be another one coming out soon. But yeah, no, I appreciate you taking the lift on that and being patient. I felt like a drug addict that hasn't been like, I go to the theater like every week at least once, and then I didn't go for almost 3 weeks, and I was jonesing, and so I had a quad planned, a quadruple feature for a Friday, but I was like, no, no, I had to go see The Mummy with the boys, which I know Lee Cronin's The Mummy because they don't want people to get all Brendan Fraser excited
The
about it.
IP
But
battle was real for that. That's for sure.
yeah, we'll definitely have conversations about that one, I'm sure, in the future. But yeah, so in the drama, I want to talk about this because I didn't know shit. And for anyone that's watching this, again, we're diving gonna right into the conversation. If you haven't seen the movie, we both highly recommend the movie. Go see the movie, then come back and listen. But I want to talk about kicking it off the discussion with the trailer. So the trailer, the teaser trailer specifically, is the only thing I saw about this movie. I had no idea who made it, what it was about, any of the setup. And I'm not sure if you saw the teaser trailer, but it was basically the scene where they go to the wedding photographer.
Yeah.
And like, I fucking didn't get it. Obviously, I didn't understand the context, but they like show them and they're okay, they're getting married, they're at a wedding photographer and whatever, but their vibes are completely off and it doesn't even make sense. And I was like, okay, and that was it. I saw one teaser trailer for this movie ahead of something else, and that was it. But I was going, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, we see movies all the time, I'm gonna go see it. And I finally got around to going like 3 Fridays after it had been out, and the theater was nearly full. And I have to say, I fucking loved that trailer. I have to say it because I'm the trailer hater. That's the perfect trailer because it gave me basically the only context that these people are getting married, and it's something's fucking not good about that. And I never in a quadrillion guesses would have guessed why that was. And then like even the things they say in that scene contextualize later when they're like, and then we'll shoot the mom, and then we'll shoot dad, and then we'll shoot grandma. Like, I was fucking howling when that scene happened. And I thought, like, overall, this movie blew me away again, like was totally shocked. I think as a movie, if I watched this by myself, I would have been like, oh, that was like good. It was solid. Nothing really to complain about. But seeing that with the crowd that I saw it with was fucking electric. It was so good. And yeah, I'll stop there for now. But yeah, great trailer,
Yeah.
great teaser trailer, and great fucking movie to go with it. So
Yeah. The mystery marketing was like a huge thing that people attributed to like people going out in droves on opening weekend to see it because nobody wanted the drama spoiled for them. My friends and I saw this. I saw this on a double date. And the funniest part in the backstory was my buddy and his girlfriend were going to go see this movie. And I pitched it like, hey, you want to go see this movie where this couple has a nightmare relationship drama before their wedding? And he's like, oh, dude, it's too close to home. I'm not seeing that. Just kidding. I'll go. So I drag him out to the theaters. And then I'm like, hey, we're running late. Renata, my girlfriend and I, we're just leaving therapy. We'll be right there. He's like, you just went to couples therapy before the drama? I was like, no, sorry, physical therapy. But like, it was just such a funny like beat that you're going on a double date after ambiguously saying going to therapy, not like a spa day physical therapy. So went in this movie totally primed and ready. Went in with a couple friend of ours, and yeah, we all kind of sat at the bar beforehand. We are like, what do you think the drama is like? And we were all placing guesses, and everyone was like assuming, oh, maybe, the obvious stuff. And I'm so glad it wasn't like, oh, is this an
Yeah,
affair?
yeah,
Was it like an abortion? Like, nobody could figure out what or guess what it was. And then, like you said, I would have never guessed in a million years. And the start of the movie, when it shows him being like the quintessential performative male, looking up the book she's reading at the coffee shop, trying to talk to her and all that. And I kept guessing, like, oh, is that the drama that like he lied that he never read the book? And they glazed right over that, being like, no, the second date, he was like, oh yeah, I didn't read that book. And I thought the drama might have even been that she wasn't deaf and lied about being deaf because she thought he was like a pervy cringe weirdo. Again, peak Robert Pattinson performance as far as being like just a disturbed British dude. So
yeah,
and that's very crucial to the actual drama of the story. But yeah, man, I got a huge kick out of it. Packed theater opening weekend. The Cineplex manager came in to thank everybody for coming to support the drama because it was competing with like the Mario movie and a bunch of other stuff. And there's like, wow,
yeah.
this A24 drama film is more packed than anything else that night at the Scotiabank in downtown Toronto. So yeah, man, it was a blast. And I feel like, yeah, again, spoiler warning has already been up, but do you want to talk about the nature of the drama, the actual drama
Well,
itself?
yeah, like I gotta say again, like I didn't know anything else, like at all. Like I somehow, I guess just because I wasn't on social media as much while I was sick or whatever, but I dodged everything. I didn't know shit. And so I was, and again, was surprised. Like I went to buy my tickets the night before and like most of the middle was sold out. And I was like, holy fuck, man. Okay. This is clearly the word of mouth is doing really well. And so, yeah. And again, you're always kind of worried like the crowd, like when a crowd's good, it's the best part. And when they're not, like, and so just when I was seeing, I'll just politely say the demographic of people that were coming into the theater, I was getting more and more nervous because I was like, oh God, like typically not the best theater etiquette age group, I'll say. Um, and like, I think this movie had everybody. And we talked, it was so funny to me because I think our last podcast episode together was about undertone and talking about tension. This fucking movie is a non-horror version of the kind of thing like Adriana and I were talking about with Undertone and Skinamarink, where it just ratchets tension for an hour and a half, basically, until it fucking pops off. And when, again, we're not going to jump to the very, very end, which, by the way, your costume, huge spoiler. Yeah, out of
It's in
context,
some of the
no one
market.
could know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's in
yeah,
the
yeah,
marketing.
exactly. So
There's a
it's like,
poster where it's
but
him
I,
dressed like this and Zendaya at their wedding, and he looks this disheveled. So I was like,
oh,
oh,
okay,
man.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. But no,
But no,
I
it's no, hey, it's the spoiler podcast. We told you to go see the movie. Um but yeah, when that scene like happens, man, people were like screaming, like, and not in a annoying way, like preempting their anxiety as like things were going. And like he was like, when his speech, for example, starts going off the rails,
oh my God,
and
yeah.
you can feel that bit about like the sex comment is about to come
Yeah.
out. Like he doesn't even say it yet, but you can tell he's building to it.
People were
And there were people
moaning,
that were
like,
like,
oh,
no, 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 no. And then he says it, and they're like, oh, like people were groaning like that. And it was like the whole crowd was just wrapped. And I think this movie is brilliant in just the way it slowly builds that. But then I also thought, like, as I was processing it more, like, the layers of the movie of like the reflections of certain characters and their behavior and sort of the bigger themes and stuff with it. And one of my friends, Emma, wrote on her Letterboxd review, and she was like, casting Zendaya as the villain. And I think this is a fascinating insight into the movie because I don't know what your experience was like, but she was like the character the whole time, other than like the initial confession of her. Again, if you're listening to this and haven't seen the movie, confessing that she almost committed a school shooting when she was an angsty 15-year-old. Um, Outside of that immediate moment, I basically was felt so bad for her the whole
yeah.
time. Like, and I thought her friend was an absolute scumbag piece of shit. That maid of honor was the worst. And I thought Robert Pattinson was also like, I was sympathetic, To a point, I'll say. With
Yeah.
his like needing to understand, because I know I'd be the exact same way. I'd be like, okay, but like, why didn't it happen? Like all those questions, I totally get why he would feel that way and everything. And I loved like the insert shots of like him, but instead of with Zendaya, he's with the 15-year-old
Yeah.
actress that they
That
have,
editing was so
and
much punchier than I expected, for
right,
sure,
and
to keep you
she
dialed
like
in.
her like not flashback or whatever, but like her projection when she woke up the next morning and he wasn't there, and she's like imagines this scene where he's like, get out of the country, just leave, and like telling them all this shit. Like I thought the editing around that and like just the way they did it, because it's deceptive, it doesn't like show it in a way that's like, well, this is super obviously fake. It became evident when he's like, dude, just leave the country, like I'll beat her up or whatever.
I'll
Like
call the
it shows
police
you that,
is like, yeah,
yeah.
when it's
Oh
just
my
like, oh,
god.
she's takes you a second to get like that's just her anxiety
Yeah,
trip that
yeah,
you're
yeah,
watching
yeah.
through her perspective. Like the way they do editing and keep you in their headspace, like again, like you said, Robert Pattinson picturing himself with a young school shooter Zendaya, or yeah, that scene where she's imagining it's like, I'll call the police, bro. Like just that like anxiety, that day after hangover and guilt, and like, yeah, just so dialed in. And I was going to say, like, so like they confess the drama in that one trailer scene where they're all out for dinner and they're like, what's the worst thing you've ever done? And then it hard cuts to the reactions after Zendaya goes to say hers, and they don't tell you what it is in the trailer. I love that scene because
Good.
it was just like, yeah, I felt like I've seen this like think piece where it's like everybody that said the worst thing they've ever done was it was reflective of their like kind of character and their arc and the way they deal with stuff.
Hmm.
So the main antagonist of the movie, and I think everyone online agrees, is Rachel the bridesmaid, by like
Yep.
Alana Haim is the actress. Great job. But yeah, she's the ultimate antagonist, the worst bridesmaid you've ever had. And you know, her husband Mike, the best man, his whole thing was like he uses a woman as a human shield against like a dog attack in Mexico when they're on vacation. Again, showing that he's self-preserving. So that's why he bows out of the conflicts when that arises from his wife Alana Haim, the Rachel chick. And then her thing is everybody agreed in my friend group after the discussion. Her
Yeah.
thing's the worst, honestly. Yeah, she locks a slow mentally disabled child in an abandoned RV closet and leaves him there for dead, basically. And she says, "Oh yeah, you know the police did like a search and they found him the next day, and it never came back to me." I honestly, my headcanon is I don't think they ever found the kid. I think she killed that little boy. Like I think that's why it never came back to her,
Yeah.
because I feel like the slow kid would have been like, "It was her," you know. And I feel like she's like, "Oh yeah, he bugged me to go hang out in the woods, so I did." I feel like she like maliciously planned to do this thing to him, and she was giving us like the glazed over
Yeah. The
version.
sanitized version.
Yeah, like she's a terrible person that does terrible things, and obviously she's the antagonist. And then Robert Pattinson, who says cyberbullying, and I've kept thinking, like, do you believe that's the worst thing he's ever done?
No.
If you do, then it's like, yeah, he did something cruel from a distance, kind of like the way he treats Zendaya by not being able to like let her off the hook, and he's so like in his head. And then Zendaya's thing wasn't actually doing anything; it was admitting that she planned out a full-fledged school shooting and never followed through with it. And especially like the reason why is like, well, why didn't you? She's like, oh, there was a mass shooting at the mall the weekend before the Monday I was going to do it. And yeah, it made me think twice on it. And I think in the reveal of like the worst thing you've ever done thing, if she was less drunk and like more articulate with her thought, and she said she planned it all out because she was so angsty and hurt, but then saw the effects of it and like talked about her arc, which we learn about naturally through the movie's
Right.
progression. If she actually voiced that off the rip, like, oh, I joined the anti-gun lobby, I was a huge advocate against it because it was so like a key development thing in my life. Like you by the end of the movie let her off the hook so easily, but that initial shock and the way everyone treats her is the audience, and it's yeah, absolutely like
Well,
fascinating filmmaking.
I want to unpack that a little bit, because I sent my mom and my mom's friend Leanne. They're like, "Oh, is there anything good playing?" And even in Owen Sound, the drama was there. So I was like, "Go see this movie," and I got them tickets to go see it. And then we were talking to them afterwards, and both of them really liked it. Apparently, there was another couple there that went thinking it was a romantic comedy, which in a way, not traditionally, but it is about a relationship, and it's definitely a comedy of sorts. Um, but no, right away, one of the things that stuck out to me and Leanne as well was that like Rachel was like a stand-in for society as well. Like
Yeah, for
where
sure.
she initially like the fact that it wasn't like actually super personal. It wasn't like my brother, like more immediate. Like it was like, my cousin.
Who's never met her
Like
husband, by the way. Like,
yeah,
he
yeah,
admits
who's
that the
that's what
husband
I
had
mean.
never met the
It
cousin.
they set those things up to create that distance, and I think this is the brilliant part. And it's like the idea of being offended on someone else's behalf and like making it incredibly personal about things that have really nothing to do with you. And just like her kind of like villainization, making it about herself and doing all this stuff. Like I thought that was just like it's not like the point of the movie or anything, but it is a nice little layer to that I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting. And like you said, like each one of their kind of confessions reflecting a little bit about like their behavior that we're about to see.
Yeah,
And I
I
thought
definitely
like,
feel like Robert Pattinson was going to admit to cheating, but the week before his wedding, he was like, "No way." And then later in the movie, he does that almost like he's falling back on some behavioral stress patterns or whatever. And I thought if he did lie about the bullying thing, it was like he actually had to do something terrible to feel like he could let her off the hook. So like, you talk about the layering and like that like subtext or like reading between the lines so hard, my headcanon was like just so
yeah.
service throughout where I was like, whatever I thought or believed, there's room for interpretation. And I just absolutely was like, God, what a solid layered movie for sure.
Where did you come down on his confession? Did you think it was real or did you?
My buddy and I were sitting next to each other, and we looked at each other like, "Oh, he did something far worse." And then afterwards,
Yeah,
joking like,
okay. Yeah.
maybe if he did do that, do you think it was like Xbox Live chat where it was like that peak Call of Duty Modern Warfare thing where he's on the mic just being like,
Yeah,
and he's like,
yeah,
"How
yeah.
do I sanitize this for my black friend and my his very progressive girlfriend, and not say I bullied a kid in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby or whatever?" Like, I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't fully believe it.
his passive like his trying to gloss over and vague details and things made it seem like it was a little unbelievable,
Yeah.
and just like how quick it was relative to everybody else's story and confession, and how he was like, well, and then I just bullied a kid and then he had to move, and like tries to pass the buck off like fairly
Well, he
quickly.
tried
And
to big it up, like,
I
I bullied him so bad he had to move, and then, like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe he just moved anyways, but yeah, I really bullied that guy good," like, it felt like
yeah,
he was trying to sell it too hard, but to be fair,
yeah,
off the back of, Rachel's, like, locking a slow kid in the closet and abandoning him in the woods story, it's like, that is gnarly, and, like, everybody agreed too, it's like, yeah, she did the worst thing, like, Zendaya didn't actually do anything, and to comment on that, and you'll appreciate this drawback, was, without getting into like the history of the director at all, because that's been kind of like a scrupulous thing lately. The last movie the director did was Dream Scenario with Nick Cage, and that too is a movie about a bunch
oh
of
fuck,
people.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's and then again like that movie is basically
Oh,
kind of like
that's
almost
interesting.
yeah, like it's a kind of like well, obviously a metaphor on like cancel
Yeah,
culture, but he doesn't actually do anything in that movie either. He is appearing in everyone's dreams, and the whole world starts to hate him for something he never actually did. And it's how he
right,
deals with that like reflection of society and people, changing their opinion on him for something that he had no agency over in the current timeline. And so it's like a kind of a weird through line there where Zendaya didn't actually do anything, but when people see her differently for something, then it's like how people react and so I thought that was kind of a fun observation. It made me think of Dream Scenario differently again because this comparatively definitely feels like such a like bigger, better, more like fleshed out drama movie. But yeah, I just
right.
had to let you know that in case you didn't.
No, I hadn't. Again, dude, had no idea. Like, didn't even know. Yeah, who the director? And I didn't really look anything up afterwards because I wanted to save it for this conversation too. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'll have to look into this person afterwards because, yeah, like again, I thought this was such a great, like the crowd bit movie too, and I think like that confession even scene where like relatively normal movie, like very clean setup and all this kind of stuff, and then when they're in that scene and then like just that was the moment where it's just like a switch has been flipped and now we're
Nosedive,
just
yeah.
cranking the dial and we're cranking the dial and how it just like again, that scene in the trailer, like I was howling so much at that because it's like, holy fuck, like this is so funny because it's not like a critical moment in the story per se, but it comes at such a critical moment in the movie itself that it's like the first scene, and then so when she's like, and then we'll shoot your dad, and then we'll shoot your mom, and like just like drive, and then like every time they said shit like that, there were people around the theater like, oh, oh, like they were all
Yeah,
like
dude,
groaning and shit. Like,
as a wedding photographer, like I've shot over 200 weddings. The scenes with all the wedding vendors, especially, but that scene with the
oh
photographer,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
when I saw the trailer and stuff too, I thought that was a funny little insight. But you'd be surprised that is so many like couples I've shot, like because like not everyone's a professional model. Everyone's like really uncomfortable in front of a big camera and being directed for the first
yeah,
time. So like everyone saw that being like, that's so funny. Like smile, like you love each other. Like I've honestly said that verbatim shooting weddings with couples where it's like they're not used to being so photographed, and then you say that and they usually pop a big smile because it sounds so funny, but seeing it with the context of that was just like, oh my
yeah,
god, again, yeah, it's like a hard edit of like them talking about like, why didn't you shoot up the school, to like, all right, well, we have to do this thing. And then it's like the flash of the like the camera being so booming with the sound mix, and then them being like so traumatized,
yeah,
like, yes, I'm shoot your mom, shoot your dad, and then Robert Pattinson's face is just rolling back. Absolutely great. Although again, wedding vendor stuff, the DJ at the wedding
yeah, yeah.
killed me.
Which one? Which one? The one that shows up?
The one that shows up to replace the first
Yeah, yeah,
DJ,
yeah,
that one killed me because that guy is every wedding DJ I've ever worked with. Respectfully, I feel like
yeah.
there's some follower crossover between the podcast and my wedding business, but yeah, it's like just so friendly, so optimistic, so dialed into his like DJ set for a wedding, which usually is like, if you don't notice the DJ, that means he's doing a great job. And the
Yeah,
time you do notice the DJ outside of the intro scene is when the microphone pops, sounds like a gunshot. And again, everybody in the theater for that went, "Oh my god!" Like, because it was a great jump scare, and like,
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah,
expecting it when you see the dream hallucinations that are played as straight, like through the lens of the camera,
yeah,
where it's like, is there a shooting at the wedding? What would that look like? And obviously not. That's so like hyperbolic and over the top. But yeah, man, I just, yeah, all the wedding stuff was killer, and like that
mm-hmm.
first DJ where they see her smoking crack or something, and then there's
Yeah,
like
heroin. They kept saying.
yeah, then there's like plausible deniability, but we see it through their lens of like how they saw it, but then they're also hallucinating, having anxiety riddled fever dreams, like again the hallucinating Zendaya as a school shooter, or dreaming of the wedding getting shot up. Like, so yeah, you retroactively then go, oh, did they actually see that, or is that their like misplaced like guilt and anger over their situation and what's going on? Like, yeah, just
Yeah,
incredibly layered and ambiguous in the ways that like I feel like there's some movies that have been so ambiguous, and I've been the smooth brain guy here that's like, I wish they put a bow on it better, and this was just like, just tied in so well with that little wiggle room of like, well, that's the truth they gave us, and like that's where it gets really
yeah,
fun, because their actions definitely make you think there's something more insidious here. And again, that Rachel character, we talked about her for like a half hour at the bar, like, oh, I know somebody that's just like that. They think they're the most virtuous, you know see you next
yeah,
Tuesday, and
yeah.
they're the biggest, biggest hater. And like what you said was like Rachel was emblematic of the demographic that saw the movie for you, is what you're saying, eh? Like a bunch of
A little bit.
sub 35-year-olds that go in and maybe talk a little bit or are a little unengaged. And same here. I think I saw a stat that was like 80% of people seeing this movie are under 35. And yeah, when I walked in,
Yeah, that would
uh,
track with my theater.
yeah, it was half booked on the Wednesday night that I got the tickets for the Saturday show. So I
Okay.
got middle row. We show up before the trailers even start. Theater was packed, and we were middle. We're the last ones there 20 minutes early. And I was like, wow, that never happens. And when I looked around, saw all these young faces, not a silver hair in the crowd. I was like, whoa, or blue hair. I was pretty thrilled. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, great crowd, great audience. And like, I always champion Renata for being like such a good audience member. And I think she popped the loudest twice, which caused other people to pop. So like, yeah, when your letterbox review
yeah,
was like such a great movie to see the crowd, I couldn't agree more. Let alone being primed with like another couple seeing the movie, and like just having that banter before of like, what's the worst thing you've ever done? Just kidding, talking about it. So
yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I've been living to discuss this movie. Basically, I was like, I know it's 2-3 weeks old, but that's perfect for not actually spoiling for people that do care. And then yeah, just there's so many facets of this that you really feel like, oh man, you could dissect it for hours.
Well, and I said too out of the gate that I felt like the most sympathy for Zendaya's character, and I think but it's not like in most things in life actually, and not necessarily an outcome, but like it's nuanced. Like so when she confessed, like theoret like what her friend did in action, what Rachel did was the worst. However, in terms of like
The
it was the like
implication.
one of the clearest kind of like one of the things you need when convicting a crime is like the guilty mind, the guilty intent. Like she was there, she was definitely willing and ready to do this. It wasn't like just like, oh, I had this thought haha, one day. Like no,
Which
they
is
showed like
sociopathic, but so is on a whim almost killing a mentally
yeah,
slow
yeah, yeah, yeah,
child, like, so, I mean,
exactly. So it's like
different
it's not,
psychopathies.
and one of them acted and one of them didn't, and I think like there was things about it like how they positioned like how like her response, so then she became a big anti-gun advocate, and little things like that was bothering me a little bit more of like performative on her end, but it wasn't just that. It was again that she'd found people in a community
Yeah,
and
there was a
like
cute
them
boy, that
wasn't
was kind of the draw after she had that moment
exactly.
where the school bully cries in her arms, so you believe it on an emotional level just enough,
Yeah.
and then the cute
Yeah.
boy, you're like, "Oh, 14-year-old girl logic," which not to sound like the director, but I'm really good at that, so I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can see why she's, pivoted from,
Right. And why,
she
like,
found community."
anyone on the outside in would, like, if she would say that, like, again, like her friend Rachel, who at the wedding would probably have been when they learned that she became an anti-gun advocate. Like that would be the thing if I was in the mindset of Rachel. I'm like, that fucking bitch. Like it would just make it worse, even if you don't
Yeah.
understand the context and then with all
Well,
that
her speech was
prejudgment
after
and
the dad
everything.
too. So like she
Yeah.
was already gonna do that speech and be like undermining, and then, like you said, totally revved up, because the dad story is also the first time where you hear it as Zendaya should have delivered it at the restaurant, being like,
Yeah.
you know, joined the gun group through my dad's gun went missing. Like I made all the active changes. So yeah, oh my gosh. And then yeah, just all the speeches at the wedding. Like again, somebody who's been to 200 weddings, and I've heard
Hmm.
every, I'm pretty sure it was in the movie where it's like, oh, the three rings of marriage. You got your engagement ring, you got your wedding ring, and you got your suffering. Like I've probably heard that one about 40 times, and it's like, Charlie, put your hand over Emma's, just like that. Okay, cool. Now that's the last time you're gonna have the upper hand. Like
Yeah.
married
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
jokes. So like
Feel like
I've
I've
been there,
seen
done
that one.
that. Yeah, so I was like so locked in, being like, I would have killed to be a vendor at this real life wedding. And I guess like a week ago they posted the real wedding video from the wedding, like showing how beautiful it was, because it was like a very beautiful contemporary old
Mhm.
New York kind of wedding. So like seeing the real wedding photos and the real wedding video, I was like, oh man. And then as a vendor, you often get to see kind of more of the behind the scenes of the couple during the day. And I was like, the fly on the wall footage and photos of that day, and just like to know the drama. Oh man, like yeah, I just as a wedding guy, which is a weird thing to say, I just, yeah, this movie was so up my alley, let alone like a great tight script, editing, the editing, like
Yeah.
again, I wasn't expecting it to be so punchy and like so visceral. Like the
Mhm.
director did the editing as well, and you kind of have to when you're shooting a movie with all that in mind. Like you're not shooting an actress standing in for Zendaya as the younger version herself, and
Yeah.
then cutting that so well if you're not so close to the project. So again, say what
Yeah,
you
you
will
gotta
about the
really see it
personal
too,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah. I think the, yeah, direction, the editing, like, yeah, just for early 2026, I wasn't expecting a banger like this to come out and be so
No.
well kept secret wise, because like there
Well,
was.
that's the other thing, like, I didn't think there was a whole lot of, like, awareness about the movie going in, like, I had known about it, obviously, but, like, not because I'm so involved in, like, movies and stuff and following the releases, so, like, I knew it was upcoming, but, like, I didn't like it kinda blew me away, like I said, when I went to buy tickets and it was mostly sold out, like, 3 Fridays later, I was like, "Holy shit, okay, so this is clearly catching on," and then I think yesterday or whatever, you sent me the thing about, like, how it's one of the highest grossing A24 movies. I'm like, "Okay, that tracks then with the crowd," and I think, like, one of the other bits I wanted to ask you about too with Zendaya though is as much as I was sympathetic to her, I was still, like, skeptical because, like, there was that scene where she comes upstairs with the knife, and I was, like,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
on
yeah.
Pattinson's wavelength a little bit. I was like maybe I wouldn't have walked up with the knife, you know? Like I probably would have just like left the knife downstairs and then when she even
Yeah,
like makes the joke with it, like I was like, oh shit, like I kind of jumped too. And I was like, so I wasn't like totally like, oh no, she's totally like I was still unsure because again, it does like confessing
yeah,
that is enough of a problem that you're like, okay, is she, regulated? Is
yeah.
she okay now? Like, how is that just under the surface? You just got to scratch at it a bit.
That's actually like a
But
perfect
yeah,
segue because I wanted to say like again, like I was saying, like the wedding was so beautiful, but like all the costumes and set deck of the movie, all like the art direction was also really beautiful, and like his apartment was stunning. I think a lot of people mentioned that in the lobby. I was hearing like, oh, I'd kill to have that guy's like deluxe like New York apartment.
especially you Toronto City folks.
Yeah. Well, like his spiral staircase is so featured, and like there's moments where they talk about them walking up that drunk in the middle of the night or coming home. And so when the editing and the scene is like her making that smoothie to walking into the bedroom on the up the spiral stairs with the knife, I brought that up after, and the whole group was like, "Oh yeah, she would have." It's not like you're walking in like a condo where the bedroom's just down the hall or whatever. Like
Around the
she had to go,
corner, yeah.
yeah, she had to go up like a flight of like spiral staircase to the bedroom with that knife for that beat to happen. So it's like, yeah, that was pretty absent-minded to walk all like you would go to grab the handrail with the knife, like, oh yeah, shit, sorry. So I had that same thought I was like, that was hilarious, but as like a nitpick, you see and you memorize that apartment so well, it's so well shot and like dressed that yeah, when she walks all the way up the stairs with a knife, you're just like, Zendaya, you good? Like, because yeah, when she did the gag of oh, we're going to stab him, I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, that's you, by the way. She's like, I know. So no, that was great. And then
Brandon, this isn't actually a costume you're wearing. This is just an outfit from a couple weddings ago when you and Renata were out.
yeah,
No, I wanted to actually quickly on that too. Like there was one other I get I see what you're saying. I didn't think about that particularly that way, but another thing that Leanne brought up about a nitpick was the dad's speech. That was like one moment for her that kind of broke a little bit of the because she saw like everything he said as like that wouldn't have been things you would have normally come up with at a wedding, but it did serve the tension of us, the audience, and the drama going on around in their life. Or like you would bring up that she was a gun activist at 15. Like I do understand. I've been to weddings where there's those
yeah.
rambly
No, I
speeches where
totally
like
believe
maybe
that. Yeah, I totally believe
yeah,
that
okay.
because like I've
I
done
was I
so
didn't
many
notice it
weddings.
in the moment, but I'm like, yeah, it was like just
Yeah,
to even like include details like, yeah, and that gun went missing. Like it was well written enough. I just didn't think in
yeah.
the context that it was like that would have been that prevalent because it's not
No, I've
clear as she's
done.
older either
Yeah,
that it's like the gun activism's like a huge thing of her current life. It was just when she was
yeah.
younger. So
That's why I thought she would have brought it up to like save face and be like, no, no, like I did all this stuff to atone for it. Like I think had I been
right.
Zendaya, I would have kind of led more heavily with, how it changed you and not so much like just this guilt trip. But no, like I have done so many weddings where it's like the dad's talking about his daughter playing ringette and Owen Sound hockey and stuff like that for like 10 minutes of the speech, and then following up like, remember that time you crashed my Trans Am? And so my mind was like, yeah, this is the proud dad, too long speech followed by remember that time you lost that thing I loved, in this case the gun. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it felt pretty organic, but it was so cutthroat as far as addressing all these beats for us the audience. But I did believe it to be not like too like wink wink at the audience, like here's the backstory kind of thing. So to me personally, as a guy
Well,
who's been
even
like
that,
200
just like it
weddings,
was a
I got that.
tension tightener too, right? Like I thought, like
Yeah,
I was by then, I was so wound up that like I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't like I couldn't even think about it really like that. I was just processing so much. And I think like there was this guy, and again, this is what I love about the communal experience of movies too, is the dude I was sitting beside. There's a couple on my left, and the dude was beside me and as the wedding scene, like probably like halfway through, his left leg, he starts doing the like stutter leg where he's
yeah,
like
little
tapping his
jitters.
heel. And so I noticed it because I could feel like it on the floor. and I looked over and I saw that he was like his leg tap was going. And so when the movie ended, I just like tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, "You were feeling the tension there in that." He's like, "Bro, that scene was crazy." Like he was freaking out, eh? And so we had a good laugh at that. And I told him to have a good night. But like it was super funny because again, I'm like now people watching a little bit because like yeah, like he was totally fine the whole movie, and just then at that scene, like he was so tense and like shook up that he was tapping his leg, and I was like, holy shit, like that's the kind of power of movies. And again, I think if you watch this at home, even just two people at home, I
Oh
really
yeah.
feel like it doesn't build the same way. um I think to the movie's credit, it certainly would. Like it would still land enough and all of that, but I'm just not convinced that, like, like honestly, the point where it moved and this like moved into a love for me on our scale, the point, like I was kind of like, I really like this, and it was the jump scare from the DJ that I'm like, I love this movie. Like it
Yeah.
clearly, all of
It
this
knows
is
what it's doing
so
to you.
intentional, it's so clever, and it, like it's believable, like and just even the guy's line, it was such a stupid line, but it was like like it worked so much. Was he's like, these were the cables I requested, like he
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just like it was just
yeah.
such like it
Again,
worked,
classic
and that
wedding
was the
DJ.
moment.
Yeah.
Right, and that was the moment for me that I just firmly was like, okay, I fucking love this movie, and it wasn't even done, tightening up and all of that, but
Yeah.
like just
Speaking
so
of jump
fucking
scares though,
funny.
yeah, the jump scare that really got me is that earlier one when they're just in the apartment still for that like middle chunk or early chunk of the movie. And then, he's still thinking about the school shooter vibes and like Robert Pattinson's so internally combusting throughout that early segment of the movie. Well, through the whole movie, basically. But when he goes to open the cupboard and there's a mug that you see like a
The
frame of
gun.
and it's got a gun on it.
Yeah.
And then he like freaks out and you kind of go, oh, okay. And he throws it out. And then later when Zendaya opens the garbage and she can see the coffee mug clear as day and it says coffee or I'll shoot. And then it's got like a gun,
Yeah.
handgun as the handle there. And you're just like, that is so funny because it was tense and it was
Yeah.
like thematic and you believe the character would react so abhorrently. Which brings me to like what I was saying earlier. Like it makes so much sense. And this is something I've heard a lot of that Robert Pattinson finally got to just stay and play a like British guy. Cause it's like, he's
Yeah.
already kind of got that smarmy aspect of like, oh, I don't understand the gun culture. Why you Americans love this so much? And like, we're not even American, but it's like you understand how people talk about it, especially, in the
Yeah.
current society. On that note too, when we're talking about like not spoiling stuff, my girlfriend was kind of going on about how Zendaya wasn't doing a ton of PR for the new Euphoria season, so there was like
Mhm.
a bit of like I don't know, the drama gate, especially with like the drama behind the drama of the director. There's all these little factors, but there was like a TMZ thing that kind of spoiled the drama twist of the school shooter element, where it was like the day or the week of the release of the movie, it was like I'm probably quoting this wrong, but it was like a Columbine victims parent reacted and said this movie isn't good or worth
No.
watching due to the school shooter nature. So I was lucky to avoid all that and I didn't get into the drama of that. But then again, it's like the movie wasn't out yet and it was just probably blatantly being like a TMZ person asking a question of like, hey, this new movie is about Zendaya doing a school shooting. And then they just had a very blankety statement, which you can understand of that, being like,
Right.
yeah, don't glorify this. And I think the movie does a really good job not glorifying it because it shows the folly of it, shows the fallout. And I think I really loved that like very short scene, and it's in the trailer or one of the trailers where Robert Pattinson goes up to and you get this from the movie, the lady in the wheelchair, Rachel's cousin on the street corner, and he's so disheveled and so
Oh.
messed up, and he just goes, "There's been a bit of drama," so nervously. But then, he has that scene where he's right before then, he's talking about like thinking of the hundreds or thousands of potential people just like Emma, just like Zendaya that thought about doing it but never did, and how they live with that guilt. And at least, Zendaya's character was able to open up about it because she was in a safe space. And that's where it really solidifies like the difference both between Zendaya and Rachel, who is just a terrible human being, and Zendaya as being somebody that could grow and change and reflect and be open and honest, Where Robin Pattinson, going back to not sure if he lied or not, and then again the affair he has in the middle of the movie, you know, that really goes to show that he can acknowledge her openness and her ability to process, where he cannot. Like the even the start of the movie is like him being indecisive and like a groomzilla and nitpicking all the details, and then when he
Yeah.
gets this, you know, drama reveal about Zendaya, he can't let it go. It's like almost the whole week is him struggling and like really not just being like dramatic. Like when he's telling his coworker leading to that little affair moment, and he has a full blown breakdown in his office drinking that Diet Coke. I was like, hell yeah, dude! Like this is a
That hit a
capital
little
A
close to
acting.
home for you.
Yeah, yeah. I've been talking to a coworker about you know, some traumatizing relationship drama, and then just gotta go cry about it somewhere. Top
With a
tier. And then
Diet Coke.
with a Diet Coke. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the big part, actually. I think the whole time my friend kept looking at me, he's like, "Oh, is he the new literally you character in this movie?"
Yeah,
And
I
I
want you to
am.
know I never hear about Diet Coke and not think of you now. Like if like someone's if I see a Diet Coke ad, if I see a sticker, you immediately pop into my brain.
But yeah, so what I was gonna say too is even like talking about the wedding and how everything goes off the rails at the end. I love that I forget her name, but the coworker of Robert Pattinson who he has the affair with, it's not
Yeah.
even really an affair. It's like a passionate moment where they share a kiss, but they're about to do it like pretty hard and dirty.
Yeah.
She pulls her pants down. She's ready for it. And then yeah, it comes out like at the wedding speech where it's like, I didn't do any of that. I didn't sleep with her. And then her boyfriend gets up. And then I love the reveal and the editing choice to just hard cut away from that, to show Robert Pattinson looking like I do now, all messed up.
Yeah.
And then plays it back because when they showed him all messed up, I'm like, two black eyes at your wedding? How do you get two black eyes? That's crazy. And then when it's the reveal of he got like a full front of the nose headbutt from her
Yeah,
like
dude.
massive angry boyfriend who she set up in that little scene. So good. And like you can hear the people in the wedding when it happens. One guy's like, "Go have another drink, buddy." Like again, I've been to a lot of weddings. I'm like, I've
Yeah.
never seen a groom get punched out, but I've seen fights at weddings, and like that's the little banter and the little audio in there, and like the reactions, just so good, man. I as a wedding guy, I couldn't get over just how real this wedding felt, and that tension, and like I can only imagine the week before your wedding is already stressful enough, let
Yeah.
alone, you know, this very like private, you know, moment becoming so gossipy. And like yeah, just that scene where Zendaya's in the bathroom and she can hear the girl that Robert Pattinson almost had that affair with whispering about some of the details out of context, not at all like exposing her,
Yeah.
but like that neurotic anxiety was so palpable. Like you know, if somebody said this was an Ari Aster movie, I would believe it. Just that like constantly trying to make you feel on edge and
Yeah.
shitty the whole
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
vibe. But you know, the reason why it's not an Ari Aster film is because I think there's a really good emotional core there where you believe Robert Pattinson and Zendaya were actually like a really good couple up until now. Like they never really had something they couldn't get over. And this just happened to be in that time funnel of week of the wedding, stress was already high, and everything was
Yeah.
going off the rails. Like you really believe it. And honestly, I don't even like Zendaya that much as an actress. It's kind of my hot take. I don't find her super charming in almost anything. Like think about Dune. Like she's just given that Zendaya like frumpy kind of upset face the whole time. I mean, she's on an impressed alien world, but even Euphoria, she's like a drugged out, like disassociating teen. So like everything big I've really seen her in, she's always kind of the same kind of dull, too cool for school girl. And seeing her here happy in a relationship and there's something that like she can't control getting away from her and causing her serious grief and not just like this pensive like whatever man I don't care, which is always how I see her. Like even in like Spider-Man, she has like a few moments of
Yeah.
like go get him tiger, but otherwise she's kind of like yo, what the hell? Like Gen Z, like too cool for school vibe
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think my favorite Zendaya movie of all time. And Pattinson, I still gotta say Twilight beats this by a
Favorite
large
Zendaya
margin.
movie or favorite Zendaya performance?
Performance, because I think like
Okay.
you know,
Because it'd be like,
yeah,
you
I
like
love
this more than the Dune movies?
yeah, like I love Dune for what that is, but this is obviously so
It's
different.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
my
yeah.
favorite
But it's
Zendaya
a better
performance.
performance for her, I think. I
Yeah, it gives her
agree.
more
I
to
think it's
do, more
probably my favorite
range.
that I've seen. Yeah, and I
Um,
think it just like puts her on the back foot a lot in this movie, which is like
yeah,
was an interesting choice. And I
she's a
think like
supporting role, not a, I would say she's a lead, but she's not the lead. Like it's definitely Robert Pattinson's
it's a
story.
co-lead, I would say, really, the two of them, like kind of
Yeah,
like
she's more
1A,
background than he
1B.
is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because I think I'd be curious to see like, I doubt
like
it'll
a
hold
breakdown
like
on
on
screen
any
time.
awards credibility, but like, yeah, down the
Yeah,
line, like those things are all like out the window anyway. But yeah, I think the thing that like most impressed me was like the so I'm assuming it was the same writer, director, editor that did all of that probably. And yeah, like shout out to him then, because that was like wild. I think like to do something, it was lean too. Like I don't think this was particularly long. I don't know what
It
the
was a tight
runtime
film.
was,
I
but
think it
like
was just over 90
yeah,
minutes.
it
Yeah.
flew by. Yeah, it flew by. And again, like that perfect build of like, okay, this is nice. They're good. You know, you like them. And then for it to then once, like, I think that, like I said, that flip switch or that switch flipped and then it just, and just for like the next, remainder of the runtime. But I was curious where you came down on the very end of it, because I wasn't sure
Yeah.
where this was going to end. Frankly, I thought they were going to cut it. And I hate that I watch things like this now where I'm like, oh, it's about to get cut here. And it was when he was dancing by himself with the song in the house. And I thought maybe they would cut it right there. But then when they have like again the callback to them saying like, yeah, let's just go out for greasy burgers and whatever, and the fact that they both do that, I kind of liked that. I thought that was like a sweet little kind of close to a movie where it was so rough. Like I thought like it was a good
Yeah.
contrast that I thought was interesting. Um it could have been like more bleak or something like that. But like I don't know, I kind of liked that I liked it. I thought it was a nice like kind of pleasant way to end, and it was like, I hope that it was like, yeah, like I wanted them to figure it out.
Yeah,
Um
I loved it for a few reasons because the style of photography where people do their wedding and they're so opulent looking, and then they go to like a bar or a restaurant that was like personal to them. I really like that like more like wedding photography style. It's more organic. It's more chic in my opinion. So when she said that, I was like, oh, what a great photo op! What a great moment! It's great. I love seeing couples take the time on their wedding day to do something like that. That is like real and not just this like circus of a wedding. So when she suggested it, I was like, oh hell yeah, Zendaya, that's a great idea. And he was a little apprehensive. And as you saw in the movie, they do that thing where they just try to do a reset, like even when she meets him for the first time to when things get really bad, and he can't accept that like little gag of like let's just start over, and they role play as if they're meeting each other for the first time.
yeah.
Like as a rom com sucker, I'm sure you feel that same way. It was a great little
Mhm.
callback to something they were setting up. The diner was like a throwaway bit, and that was like a perfect place to end things, especially so contrastingly messed up as they were at the end with her in the orange puffer and him in his green raincoat. Just yeah, super solid. I really liked it a lot. And again, when I talk about like the headcanon and what I thought about after and during those moments was, do you think they got back together? Or do you think that was them having one final sweet goodbye, almost like the like taking your kid to Disneyland or something, where it's just like nice to meet you, and they have one final good moment, and then they don't. They like. Do you think that Robert Pattinson and Zendaya filed for some sort of like immediate marriage, kind of like a Nora style annulment, like the day after, the week after, living with that massive blowout wedding? Because I kind of think that would have almost ruined my partner and I's getting to the wedding day, having it being such a shit show. I don't know if that was just like a sweet, tender moment that we got to end on, with the ambiguity that like that was them trying to have one last good time because it was so far gone at that point. Do you think they
I
broke up, or
took
do you think
it
they
more
reconciled?
straightforward. I think it was more of a reconciliation. Like I think um to me, like, and I guess trying to like headcanon it out, it's a movie, and we've been watching a lot of movies where like Ashley and I watched Crazy Stupid Love, and she had not seen it before, and we watched it just
It's in
last
my
night.
letterbox top
And so
four.
like yeah, yeah. So it was really funny for me to just like, I love those kind of scenes in movies where they just derail this eighth grade graduation for Steve Carell to come in and monologue about his marriage and shit. And it was
Yeah.
like things like that are completely unbelievable. So like, I know movies can do that kind of shit. In my head, if this was really like a departure from Zendaya, I think it's too close to the moment for her to like have this sort of weird bliss. Like that to me was really more her reaffirming into it and willing to overlook or not overlook necessarily, but like deal with what he did. And
Accepting each
like,
other again.
them cutting slack, like finally, like again, like I think, for example, this thing, like had that happened 6 months before, or 6 months later, like this would have been a much, like, not a easier thing to handle necessarily, but like it would have been outside of the context of the week before the wedding and all these considerations, right? So I
Yeah.
think, like, I believe that, and I think it was just that wound up, and like, you know I think it was smart not to have him, like, full blown, like, cheat and really commit in a, like, go all the way, literally, because I think, yeah, like, I think she slides her dress up, and he, like, unbuckles his pants and stuff, and that's when he backs off. So,
Yeah, he just
like,
breaks down
they
crying
had their,
again. Yeah.
yeah, they have their impassioned little kiss there and all that, but again, like the crushing weight of everything going on, and like I'm pretty sure too in that scene when he's talking to Rachel after, I could be misremembering, but like I'm pretty sure he lies to her in that scene too, which to me was like, I'm like, oh, that's just gonna make it worse, because it's like, well, she didn't do it because, like, he gave her
She
some
was
story that was,
traumatized because of a family
oh yeah,
friend who
the
died
car crash. That's
in the
right.
previous scenes,
And
and it
so
was like, "Oh,
like
I barely
lied
knew her."
again,
Yeah.
and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh no, this is not going to help. I don't think this is
Yeah.
gonna help.
Again, he should have just had that moment of like, well, like it really messed her up, so she became an anti-gun activist. Like I think her and your cousin would really relate. Like there's so many moments where it's like if he had the full picture, like just like us, he feel like he was on edge, didn't have the full picture, didn't have the full backstory. Only for that to be really given spelled out at the wedding, because we got hints of it through flashback. And yeah, like way better than lying about that, being like, oh, she was actually traumatized, because trauma causes people to act up. That's almost like the, again,
Also,
that
yeah,
PC level of like, how do I out performative this person? Very on
yeah.
his
Oh,
character
that's
was
exactly
like,
it. And
yeah,
that's, yeah.
childhood trauma really, as opposed to being real and just being like, yeah, like she tried to do her best to tone with it, did all the right steps, joined anti, like, yeah, no, instead he just tries to be more performative to get that point.
But
Um,
to be fair to him there, like the logic of that makes sense for his audience though, right? Who, like, that she's
yeah,
clearly just super performative and like explaining it away. There's nothing you can say that would really
no.
justify this, right? And so, like, you have to go to this like weird, absurd extreme. And I think, like, that's like my thing with that was like the moment she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be your maid of honor, I'd be like, good, peace, bitch, see you later. Like, don't want you, ask
Yeah,
someone
it would
else,
have been
don't
better for
have them.
them.
Like, yeah,
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 she had
yeah.
that
But
third
like
friend. I'm like,
that's
where's the third
the
friend? She should have been
nature of
there.
the film too, where it just sort of like spirals, and then how she like gets her fired or whatever off the one job or something. It's just like,
I mean,
it's
we were
that
discussing
not
that.
calamity of errors, but like it's just like
Yeah.
every choice they basically make afterwards as well just kind of contributes to making it all worse too. So
Well, I mean, like that was the thing too, was like I get Zendaya kind of having that snap decision to be like, oh yeah, maybe she's just not right for the job, causing her to like lose out on that like marketing campaign or whatever the cross collab was. But I do
yeah.
want to say, like, her boss comes to her and being like, yeah, she hasn't responded to any of my texts or emails for like a
Yeah, it
week.
was still on
So
her,
it's
but
like,
you
yeah,
knew she wouldn't be like, well, then she got me fired. It's like, well, you ignored your boss for 3 days, bro. And yeah, so like,
yeah.
again, it was one of those things where it was just like, yeah, I fucking hated her. Like, of all the characters, I thought she was easily the worst. And yeah, like, I'm really curious to see, like, I know I looked briefly on Letterboxd, and a lot of the discourse was on the Rachel hate, but in the same way that I'm curious, like, are there people that like that same sort of level of performative outrage? And even like you said, you referenced the, I hadn't seen it, the TMZ story or whatever. It's like, by no means does this like glorify the act or anything. Like, if anything, again, I thought it really like undermined like her character. Like when they show the scenes of her recording her confession, and then webcam
Is her
update, and then she's like,
manifesto.
oh fuck,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
she
The blue
like
screen of death.
shuts it down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, fuck, like, this thing's gonna come up and then it's like a computer update or something like, so it
Oh,
undercut her a lot. And then like her
yeah.
holding the big gun. I will say that's my one nitpick in the whole movie. I was like, how the fuck did she smuggle that gun into the school? Because I was like when they mentioned that earlier, like I brought it to school and everything. So I was like, okay, like a handgun, something
Handgun, yeah.
smaller. Or, but like she's literally got a fucking long rifle. And I was like, okay, how the fuck? And they glanced, but again, like a super irrelevant nitpick. But I just laughed because the fucking gun was like taller than she was at that age. So it was just one of those beats where I'm like, yeah, I don't know that you would sneak that in anywhere, but
Yeah, some credit to like the whole flashback and like young Zendaya and like the school shooter montage because she talks about being in love with the aesthetic of it. My buddy Connor pointed this out that if you look in her room when she's doing all those like videos and like prepping for the shooting, she had a poster of a band on the wall, and I can't remember the name of it, but she had a poster of a band on the wall that the Columbine shooters also really loved, like when they talked about them in so it was like, wow, that's a deep cut. Like again, the set
is that
dressing and the
Manson?
director.
I
There
remember
was a
that was
Manson.
a big thing back in the
There
day,
were
like Marilyn Manson or whatever.
there was a Marilyn Manson one that I clocked, but there was another band. It was like an acronym, but yeah, it was on the walls, prominently shown for a shot or two. And my buddy in the movie was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, no way!" He's like, "My brother also liked that band around that same time, but when like that was kind of talked about as like, the media they listened to and enjoyed, like
Yeah, yeah,
because that
yeah.
was
Now I
that
gotta
era
watch
of like."
Bowling for Columbine again, dude.
Yeah,
Goddamn.
yeah, because that was that era where it's like, oh, Grand Theft Auto and Eminem are causing school violence,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
No, well, that's a great point for people like you, man. As someone on that set deck was really doing the work to get all those little details in there because I didn't even notice that. And I bet you this movie too, to its credit, probably littered with little shit like that. That like if you look at the
yeah,
room and even the makeup and the outfits, like I'm sure there's a lot of like details and thought that go into those kinds of things too.
yeah, well, 100%. And I think like it also proves the point that I think the movie's trying to make too was that she was seduced by the aesthetic and that the media coverage of it all, and the fact that now in 2026 we can look back and be like, what does a school shooter's bedroom look like, and have something so well realized, all those little details, and yeah, I thought it was great. Also on a side note, I guess. They never answer in the movie, and you don't even know if it was real or a complete hallucination. How do you think that Women with Guns magazine got on Robert Pattinson's desk? Do you think that was real? Do you think somebody planted that? Like Rachel maybe snuck in there? Like that was such a weird open-ended piece of the movie that was so
Oh, I
small,
didn't
but you think
even
about it, right?
think about that again. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
he asked his
yeah.
coworker, like, "Did you put that on my desk?" Like, obviously, it wasn't Zendaya doing it. And then later, when he's coming around to her accepting her, he's looking at it again, and he sees her in the magazine, not the
Yeah.
14-year-old that he can't like accept. So I thought that was like a cool narrative beat, but they also never flesh out like how this ethereal book materialized. My theory is it was like Rachel or somebody put it there to mess with them. But then again, he's an art curator for a museum. And I also thought that
Yeah,
was
that's what I thought. Like, was it some sort of like thing related to that? But yeah, I totally
like
have
an
not
intern
thought
dropped it
about that
off.
afterwards.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I also thought that was funny. I wonder how many movies the real life people see them. And when I say that, I mean like I wonder if the art curator from the Smithsonian Museum or whatever saw this movie and was like, "Oh, I'm Robert Pattinson in this movie. I didn't realize I was cast to be in a movie. That's crazy." Like, how many times is there like the director of the CIA played by some Hollywood actor in a movie about the government, and it's actually like some guy in real life like, "Oh, that's my job. That's cool. I'm glad I'm represented by this A-list celebrity." And then you're like, "Ah, he's a total freak. That's crazy." So, yeah, I
I
don't know.
just did a quick Google too on that, and the leading theory seems to be Rachel, but I have no idea why or if that's corroborated anywhere. But that's the stupid little Google AI thing says that it was her, that it is implied that Rachel leaves the book. I don't know. But AI is fucking shocked. That could be total horseshit too. But I don't remember any implication, like an obvious one, like that if there was, it went over my head on my first watch. But that would track too, just to be like a petty, like, fuck you and leave that shit. Um, Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because they were best man and best like maid of honor. So it's
yeah,
like
maid of honor.
they
Yeah.
would have known that he would have spiraled on this detail to the point where something that it could be as innocuous as that would cause him like the grief it did. So I believe it too.
Yeah, well, and like their reactions in the moment, like again, it was like you were saying, like I felt bad, like Zendaya wasn't defending herself, but it's like, yeah, like the context, right? It's like she's not prepared to do that, and she was wasted, and like the throwing up and stuff was really like funny too, as just like that other layer. But like, yeah, I couldn't get over how much of a surprise this was, and I think like again to maybe bookend this with my bit on the trailer, like teaser trailers like that are the thing. Like I don't want the fucking plot, I don't want a huge setup. You showed me basically nothing, and I understood none of the context, and I had forgotten about it by the time really the movie started. And so once it got to that point, I started giggling because I was like, oh my god, that's right. Like this was like, it was a rewarding experience having seen just that teaser and then see the movie play out the way that it did. And I think that mystery box marketing really seems to be the way to go too, which I think is interesting, right? You think of like, I'd say the last big thing that caught on in that same way I can think of is like Long Legs, right? Like that movie gripped a lot of imaginations because of the marketing alone. And, so I think like people don't want the whole thing because then it feels like you just saw the movie. So why would you bother going? Give them a little taste, like let it kind of like roll out. And yeah, like I said, I was blown away. I firmly think that will be one of the best theater experiences that I have all year. And yeah, I just was like, again, so pleasantly surprised. There was even one of the people in front of me was like the title card picture taker. And I was like, oh, here we go. And I think by the end, she was so engrossed in the movie, wasn't even thinking about the phone. And so that to me is the ultimate testament of a good movie. So there you have
Yeah,
it.
I love the movie too. I'm lining up in the queue right now to buy my A24 cake topper of Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. Yeah, absolutely solid move on the marketing side, which I'm always praising. I gotta say, I like how some people got like wedding invitations for the press screenings of this, and yeah,
Hmm.
like they made it feel thematic, let alone mysterious. And it's like we do need more mysterious promotions back. There should be hype that is earned and not just like, hey, here's your next MCU movie. Oh, okay, can't wait to see these actors. So awesome that they had such big cast, such a big story, and such nuance too. Like when I thought the plot was going to
Yeah.
be like a soap opera level, like there was an affair or like there was an abortion or a baby or something like
Yeah.
soap opera quality, I was like hesitant to see this. And then when I found out what it was in the theater watching the movie, I was like, how do they like, how do they do this? Because it's like spoiled or it's they get into the drama in that first 20 minutes, and then after that is a thrilling experience seeing it. And again, almost in reverse of normal when you see a movie and then you realize how much of it was in the trailer. It was like, wow, they didn't give anything away, but they showed moments that were like cringe inducing and awkward without the
Hmm.
context. So it's like you're being sold something that you got, and they did it so effectively by keeping that the drama mystery so solid. So yeah,
Yeah.
huge shout out to this movie. It's one of my favorites of the year. I hope it gets Oscar buzz, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, solid
We'll see
Zendaya,
what
solid
happens
Pattinson.
by the time. There's a stacked year ahead.
Yeah,
And I did want to just close with one last beat on a movie that I hated, but an interesting year for school shooting stuff in movies. I think like there's, we're Canadian, so we're not as engrossed in the U.S. political culture, but yeah, I just noticed that between that and Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, or whatever it was. Like, and I thought that was the best part of that movie, the way they handled that kind of stuff. But it's an interesting, I'm curious to see if this is going to be like a more of a trend, because it feels like it's not late because they're still ongoing, but like, it's not as I feel like prominent culturally, but it's maybe that's what it needed, a bit more space, so it doesn't feel like you said, like it's not kind of like used as this obvious plot point and everything or whatever. So it's an interesting little thought that I had too when she confessed that. I was like, Oh shit, okay, we're going there. Like I did not have that in my kind of like range
Yeah.
of where
You can
that
see
was
why they left it
going.
out of the
So
marketing too, because like you don't want it
oh yeah,
boycotted
which
before the
was
movie was out. So very
absolutely the
clever.
right call. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it leaves
Absolutely
the
the
room
right
for the
call.
nuance in the experience of the movie. It's like hearing a comedian saying an offensive joke online versus
Yeah, if you only see
seeing it
the
or hearing it in the room.
punchline or yeah,
Yeah, it's
read
like the
read a
nuance.
written line of it, that's the worst part without any of the build. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so and
No,
so
it's the
said
same
blah blah
thing.
blah. Oh my god, I'm outraged. Versus like this movie, you were deprived that until it happened, and then the experience is also sitting with yourself and how you handle it. And like, are you a Rachel?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. So yeah,
There's more
absolutely.
Rachels out there that I think would care to admit it. You know what I mean? I feel like there's
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of Rachels are out there that watch this movie like that would never be me. Oh, I
yeah.
doubt it. I doubt
We
it.
need more Emmas and less Rachels. Take that as you will. That's a hot take, but yeah, honest about your
But
guilt and show growth, and not the inciting incident.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You gotta be specific, Brandon. We don't want anyone to take you out of context. But no, on that note, guys, thank you all as always for listening. Stay tuned with the next time you see an episode. Spoiler alert. We will be together in the same location. So I'm excited for that. Brandon's coming to Montreal and we're going to hit up some more movies, have more discussions for you guys. So as always, stay tuned. Follow us on YouTube. Again, we've been posting a lot more spoiler-free videos there, and we're going to keep doing that and do more of those. So if you want kind of the part A for the podcast's B side, and you want that spoiler-free conversation, that's the place to find it. So till then, guys, we'll see you at the movies.